Welcome to RocketShip, the home of epic React Native content. I'm Simon Grimm, creator of Galaxies.dev, and today is a special episode because today we're gonna mix things up. RocketShip is about to change, and this is the first episode in which I want to tell you more about why I want to change, what is going to change, and hopefully the future will be even brighter. So let's quickly get into this. Why the change? So you see, there's nobody else around me. Today is a solo episode. I'm just recording this from my studio. I have no guests. The problem in the past was that over the last couple of weeks, I had real problems finding new guests. And you may know or not know this, but I run this show entirely on my own. Just like I do Galaxies and everything that I do, I'm pretty much completely alone. I have one video editor, but he's not related to the podcast. So that means I invite guests, I prepare the episodes, all the questions, I do the research on the guests, the booking, I record, I edit, I upload, I do everything. And over the last time, that was actually a lot. And I couldn't find guests, I couldn't make it work with time zones. It just became like this process I was dreading. And I was like, that's not what this podcast should be. This podcast should be a show for React Native developers with a lot of good ideas, with news, with enthusiasm. And therefore, I wanted to make this a bit easier on myself because these episodes won't probably need a lot of recording. I can record them whenever I want to. It is just me, no more coordination and backstories of people and checking out things, at least for the moment. On top of that, the lows or the views of my episodes were kind of, I wouldn't say low. I still get a couple of hundred views or maybe a couple of thousand on YouTube, which is great. And I love that you're here. But the work I put into this podcast was simply not like justifying those couple of views. And I hope you understand this. So maybe the podcast is growing over the next time again. I have no idea. I will do my best to make that work. And I hope if you want to help me out, spread it, say on X sometimes that you listen to a podcast, that you really enjoyed the RocketShip, or leave a review on especially Apple Podcast, whatever it's called, that you enjoyed this show. That will really help me a lot. So I'm really grateful for all your support, that I've been super high ranked with RocketShip in the recent React Native survey. And I hope next year we can make it to the first place. That would be amazing. So I will do my best. However, that also doesn't mean there won't be guests in the future. I will definitely have Evan Bacon in here from time to time to talk about Expo things, or other people from the Expo team or the React Native community if they're cool things, cool projects, things that we should explore. Things like links might be worth talking about in a couple of months when there's like a bit more to talk about. So this doesn't mean there won't be episodes with guests in the future, but for the moment, we're just gonna reduce the frequency and it's gonna be mostly solo. It's just gonna be Simon. But that also gives you more access to my brain, whatever crazy idea I'm currently tinkering on. So I really want to introduce some more topics in these episodes. So I want to talk about cool React Native topics or libraries that I've found, because I usually share that with my Galaxies members in our newsletter. By the way, sign up for Galaxies.dev if you want to receive that weekly newsletter. And I want to share these tools with you as well. I want to share more about AI integration in React Native and what's going on in AI land, because it has become a central theme or part of what I do in my work as a developer, and in general, I'm following a lot of trends of AI, and I know it can be overwhelming, just like the React Native stuff is already overwhelming. So I want to cover the news, the trends, the hot takes in these episodes. And I would also like to include tiny lessons, things I picked up over the week. You know, I sometimes tinker on projects as well, pretty much all the time actually. And I learned a couple of things here and there that I'm finding fascinating, and so I think that you might be interested in them as well. So these are the broad topics that I want to tackle over the next time in these solo episodes. I don't have a strict backlog or plan yet because I want to move more freely, adapt more dynamically to what's going on, so you get really up-to-date episodes that you are looking forward to every week, so you can hear something about the React Native and AI ecosystem. I will also change the timing of the episodes. So previously I released all my stuff on Tuesday. I've been doing the Tuesday video on my YouTube channel for I don't know. Honestly, it has to be like 5, 6, 7 years at this point. Every Tuesday I drop a video. And lately I've been doing every other week a podcast episode on Tuesday as well. I don't know why. I want to mix this up a bit. So the podcast will now go live on Thursday. That also gives me a bit more time to see like what's going on in that week, so I can maybe react to some of the news, include that. We can maybe also do it Friday, but I don't know. I feel like Thursday is a good day. So Tuesday will be a video on my YouTube channel. Thursday will be a podcast. Now, I don't know if I'm going to make this podcast bi-weekly or weekly. After this show, I will actually be on vacation with my family, so I will take some time off and then we might start after that vacation. So from that point on, expect this podcast to come into your player or YouTube or wherever you are, Spotify, on Thursdays. But again, maybe weekly. Let me know. I'm super happy to hear your point of view as well. Would you like to hear a podcast every week, or do you think it's too much? But I'm going to make those episodes shorter. So those are not going to be 60 minutes episodes. We're going to talk for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. I don't know how long this episode is right now. We're at 6 minutes. So you see, like, time is actually quite fast. So we're going to explore the topics in a bit faster way. Which probably would be okay to have this at least once per week. But let me hear what you think about this. On top of that, I would of course also love to know what you want to hear more about. So this podcast has always been about React Native, about indie builders and apps and cool tools. And I definitely want to double down on those topics as well. I'm not suddenly making this into a Flutter podcast or talk about something completely unrelated to this. We might explore something towards the web, because I think most React Native developers do have some roles or some work with web development, maybe with Next.js as well. So we might have some intersection there going on. And of course, maybe also with things like Swift or Kotlin, because we're native developers and we're interested in those things and we need to understand what's going on these different platforms. But again, drop me a comment on X, send me an email, simon@galaxies.dev, but I think usually you want to send me a message on X. What would you like to hear in our future episodes? Are there topics that you want to see discussed? Would you like to get my opinion on things? I was always thinking about like having a little page with like Simon Says, and you can ask a question, you can submit a question, you can record yourself, ask a question, and then Simon reacts to this. Simon says, I don't know, it might have been a crazy idea before, but let me know. What would you like to see? This podcast is made for you as well. It's not just the Simon show, so I can sit here and talk. I can also sit here and talk without the camera being on. That's totally fine for me. So let me know what you want to see in future episodes of the RocketShip podcast, so we can make this a #1 React Native podcast that you look forward every week to listen to. Now, I want to conclude this with one more thing today. I wanted to share all these like information, why I'm changing this and what's changing, so you get a better picture of what's going on in Simon's mind. But I also want to change what I've been currently working on, because I think I will actually make that at least a theme of our weekly or bi-weekly episodes. So you get a little bit input as well. So 2 weeks ago, I released a new application. It was called Healthy Swap. It was just a funny experiment. I wanted to see, I was actually sick and bound to the bed. And in a day, I tried to build this application. I used some AI, of course, and I actually made it during a day. The Apple review just took 2 more days. I had to fix a couple of things. But I got the app released, and after that, I was like, okay, what's next? You know that feeling when you have released an app. And that app wasn't too great. So now I'm actually tinkering on something that I feel is a better investment of my time. It's not the smallest kind of application, yet it's still okay. It's not a huge project I'm tinkering on, but my time is kind of limited. So during the days, I rarely work on that project. It's like that stuff has become my side project, and now like galaxies and content and everything what previously like 10 years ago was my side project is now my main thing, and I do these funny apps on the side. However, I want to invest more time into that in the future, but that's a different story. So I've been doing a new application. I started it, I set up all the basic stuff, and I actually used the Vercel AI SDK with Expo. Now, if you haven't seen that, it's actually pretty great. I followed their documentation and could make it work in about like 10 minutes with like streaming replies from OpenAI. But the cool thing is about the Vercel AI SDK that you can swap out the providers really, really easily. And they have some pretty cool hooks, which gives you like the streamed reply. You can include tools, you can include messages. It's a lot easier. And the guide is actually showing you how to do this with Expo API routes. I think this is the first time I've seen a real guide that shows you how to do something, including Expo API routes. I felt like before only me and some other creators were showing you how to use Expo AI routes and API routes, and nobody else is doing it. But Vercel actually did this in their documentation for the AI SDK. So I really encourage everyone, check out the Vercel AI SDK. I will also record a video on this because I was fascinated in how fast it worked. It had some initial issues. They also just released a new version with parts and some things changed, so I hope I can cover that in a future video. Speaking of video, you might have noticed I dropped a couple of short form videos on YouTube and my other socials as well. That is also part of a slight branding change, I would say, that I'm trying to do over the next time. So with ChatGPT, which I'm always conferencing about, like it's probably my mentor at this point, how I want to adapt to things. I boiled down my own strategy to being more of a personal brand in the future. So what does it mean? Well, this video here is actually also part of that personal branding strategy. That was actually not planned. That was more like an afterthought, but I was really like anxious about all the AI stuff going on. I don't know what all the AI stuff means to me as a creator. Will you still want to see tutorials about coding? Is coding still relevant in a couple of years? Will AI code all our apps? I honestly don't know how it's going to change. And this is pretty much how I earn money for me and my family. So I have a wife, I have a daughter, I need to support my family. And therefore, all these thoughts were really heavy on me. Like, how do I get into the best position for the future? Should I do something with AI? Should I build a SaaS? Should I do something else? I had so many questions about all these things. Then I figured out what's the best way to approach or get in a best position. Because, you can't connect the dots looking forward. But I still try to like put out many dots so a nice picture could happen in the future. And I think what AI can't do is deliver, well, it actually can deliver podcasts at this point, but it can't be me. It can't be Simon with all the experiences, with all the transformation I've been going through over the last years of becoming self-employed, living completely off content and sponsorships, and how I lost 20 kilos and how I now run a marathon this year and a triathlon. And like, all these experiences combined is something AI will never be able to give you. And therefore, I want to double down on being the personal friend that has been with you from maybe the Ionic days. Maybe you've been with me for a very long time now. And that is part of my strategy over the next time. And therefore, I started putting out more short form videos, pretty much like this talking head on TikTok, because I still think and believe that TikTok is a giant platform with the user base, what's going on TikTok. I was always fascinated by TikTok. I tried it a couple of years ago, but I fell into the same trap that Ben Awad fell into. By the way, we had a great podcast episode with Ben. You should check that out. He at some point made all these meme videos, these funny stitches, and you build up a huge following with that, using trending sounds and stuff. But why? So what are those people? Why are they following you? For some random funny content? That's actually not what I want, and that's what I did a couple of years ago. Now, what I do now is I try to put out my own experiences, coming back to what AI can't give you. I try to distill what I learn, what I work on, share the real stories, give you insights into what I do, what I think is hot right now, what you should look into. All these things in a structured way, in short form video on TikTok. And because I created for TikTok, I will also release it usually on YouTube and X or Instagram or whatever. But overall, the main part of that personal branding strategy was to build up an audience on TikTok with those videos. And if the other channels can benefit and the videos get some views, that's cool for me as well. So if you see more videos like that in the future, if you see this podcast in the future, be reminded that Simon is experimenting. I don't know how long. Maybe I will change in a couple of months because I see that this approach isn't really working. But see, this is also what happened when you record alone. Somebody's calling you and annoying you while you record a podcast. But no, that's not the point. So all of this is to say that I'm trying out new things. I'm trying out new things with this podcast. I'm trying out new things with the videos. Some videos might be shit. Some videos might be really good. I'm experimenting. I'm trying to find my way, just like I tried to find my way with this solo podcast. I honestly am super excited about this because it just gives me this initial spark again that I had when I started podcasting. And if I don't have that spark, I can't create good content. And just like I highly enjoy recording those short form videos right now, I absolutely love doing this podcast episode alone. And I can't wait to share more like stories about the apps I built, the tools I use, things I discovered with you through the podcast and through videos over the next time. So I hope you, I don't know if you enjoyed this episode. It was just an insight into what's going on, and I wanted to not just suddenly start with a completely different format. So if you listen to this, thank you so much for giving me your time. If you have any opinions about the podcast, the videos, or anything else, please hit me up on X. I love to hear your feedback, and I'm always open for doing Q&As, answering your questions here on this podcast. I don't know how it evolves. It is a project of us all. I'm trying to do my best, and I hope you like it. So leave a like, leave a review, a reply on X or anything, and I'm really looking forward to our next episodes together. Thanks for joining today's episode. My goal is to share interesting stories and insights into the world of React Native development. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify. And on Spotify and Apple, you can leave up to a 5-star review. Because podcasts, and especially niche podcasts like this, are hard to find, subscribing and leaving a review does help me a lot. On top of that, check out my React Native courses on galaxies.dev that cover a variety of topics from getting started to building and publishing your mobile app. Finally, you can share today's episode with a friend or colleague who would enjoy the topic of the show. If you have any questions or ideas for future episodes, find me on X or leave a comment on YouTube. And last but not least, thank you for listening and happy coding. Simon.